For hundreds of millions of years after its birth, Earth was a world of silence, a planet of fire turned blue, covered by endless oceans, wrapped in thick clouds, and swept by storms that never stopped. No forests, no animals, no sound. Only thunder, lightning, and the hiss of boiling rain falling on volcanic rock. And yet, in this chaos, something extraordinary was about to happen. Somewhere in the depths of the ocean, in a drop of warm water enriched with minerals and energy, life was about to begin. This is the story of how simple chemistry turned into biology, how inanimate matter began to organize, replicate, and evolve. This is the origin of life. The chemical Earth. Let's go back 3.8 billion years ago. The young Earth is a hostile world, volcanic, unstable, constantly struck by meteorites. But it also possesses everything necessary to create life. Its atmosphere is filled with carbon dioxide, methane, ammonia, nitrogen, and water vapor. Lightning flashes across the sky, and volcanic eruptions release endless clouds of gas and ash. Every element needed for organic chemistry drifts freely through the air or dissolves in the oceans. There are no living organisms yet, but there is energy everywhere. Heat from volcanoes, ultraviolet light from the sun, and the constant crash of waves. Energy that can break and rearrange molecules, forcing matter to experiment with itself. Some scientists believe these chaotic conditions acted as a global laboratory, producing the first simple organic compounds, the ingredients that one day would lead to proteins, DNA, and cells. The first building blocks. In 1953, nearly 4 billion years later, two researchers, Stanley Miller and Harold Urey, decided to recreate the chemistry of early Earth. They filled a glass flask with gases believed to be present in the primitive atmosphere, added water, and sent electrical sparks through it to mimic lightning. After a few days, the liquid in the flask changed color. When they analyzed it, they found amino acids, the same molecules that make up proteins, the foundation of all living cells. That simple experiment showed that life's ingredients can form naturally from non-living matter. Now, imagine this happening on a planetary scale, for millions of years, across billions of droplets in countless oceans. Every lightning strike, every volcanic eruption, every chemical reaction brought the Earth closer to something entirely new: life itself. The Primordial Soup. Scientists call this early ocean the Primordial Soup, a vast mixture of chemicals and minerals stirred by tides, heated by volcanoes, and energized by sunlight. Inside this global cauldron, countless molecules collided, connected, and separated again, forming ever more complex chains of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Among these molecules, some gained a remarkable property: self-organization. They began to form small droplets surrounded by thin membranes, trapping certain chemicals inside. These primitive bubbles, sometimes called protocells, could grow, divide, and interact with their environment. They were not alive yet, but they were the bridge between inanimate chemistry and the first living cell. In these tiny bubbles, the conditions were just right for the next leap: replication. The RNA World. Modern life depends on DNA, a molecule that stores information and allows organisms to reproduce. But DNA is too complex to have appeared first. something simpler had to come before it. Scientists believe that molecule was RNA, a cousin of DNA capable of both storing information and performing chemical reactions. In what scientists now call the RNA world, these molecules began to copy themselves. Not perfectly, but that was the key. Each tiny mistake, each variation, created diversity. And in the vast laboratory of early Earth, diversity meant evolution. Some RNA strands copied faster than others. Some were more stable, more efficient, or better protected inside small droplets. Natural selection had begun, not yet among living creatures, but among molecules. This was the first whisper of life's defining law: adapt or disappear. The first cells. Over time, RNA molecules found new partners. Simple proteins that helped them fold, stabilize, and work faster. Together, they formed complex chemical systems enclosed by thin lipid membranes. These membranes acted as a barrier, keeping the inner chemistry safe from the chaotic outside world. Inside, molecules collaborated, copying information, repairing themselves, and using energy from their surroundings. At last, the first true cells were born. Tiny, fragile, microscopic bubbles of life floating in the ancient oceans. They were not yet animals or plants, but they had crossed the ultimate threshold. They could replicate, evolve, and survive. This moment marks the beginning of biology, the moment the universe began to know itself through living matter. From here, life would diversify endlessly. Bacteria, algae, plants, animals, and eventually, us. But everything began here, in the silence of a young ocean, 4 billion years ago, inside a droplet smaller than a grain of sand. From chemistry to life. Life did not appear in a single instant. It was a gradual transformation. Chemistry learning to store information, replicate, and adapt. The first organisms were simple and invisible, but incredibly resilient. They survived crushing pressure, extreme heat, freezing darkness, and toxic gases. Some may have thrived around hydrothermal vents, where hot mineral-rich water burst from the ocean floor. Others may have lived near the surface, powered by the sun's energy. For millions of years, they ruled a world without predators, quietly shaping the planet's atmosphere and oceans. Their waste, their breath, and their evolution would eventually pave the way for everything to come: plants, animals, and intelligent life. The dawn of evolution. Once replication began, evolution became inevitable. Each generation of primitive life carried small changes, some beneficial, some destructive. Those better suited to their environment thrived. In time, these simple cells learned to use sunlight for energy, giving birth to photosynthesis. Oxygen began to fill the atmosphere, slowly, silently transforming the entire planet once again. What had started as sparks and molecules had now become a living, breathing world. The age of biology had begun. From fire to water, from chemistry to life, the Earth had completed its first great transformation. In the next chapter, these microscopic pioneers will dominate the planet, shaping the atmosphere and building the foundation for all complex life to come. The story of life is a story of chance, persistence, and time. A story written not in ink, but in molecules. And it all began here, with a single spark, in a world that had just learned to breathe.